My name is Brielle Sanderson, and I'm 38. I used to believe maturity looked like swallowing things, swallowing comments, swallowing discomfort, swallowing the small humiliations you can't quite prove were intentional, because if you called them out, you'd sound dramatic. But there's a difference between being calm and being quietly trained. I'm the kind of woman who keeps receipts without meaning to. Not because I'm petty, because I'm practical. I pay bills early. I book flights with enough cushion to avoid panic. I don't like chaos, and I don't like owing anyone anything. Ryan Kessler used to say that was what he loved about me. Ryan is 36, broad-shouldered, warm smile. The kind of guy who can make a stranger laugh in an elevator. We've been together 8 years, long enough that people either assume we're married or ask us, with that subtle judgment, why we're not. We didn't do the big wedding. We did the real stuff. A house, joint repairs, shared groceries, holiday visits that required emotional armor. The kind of partnership where you learn someone's moods by the way they set their keys down. If that isn't marriage, it's at least the hard part of it. Ryan's parents, though, Janice and Howard Kessler, have never treated it that way. They're not openly cruel. That would have been easier. Janice is the type to smile while she measures you. The compliments always come with a hook. "Oh, Brielle, you're so organized," she'd say, like organization was a personality defect. Howard is quieter, but he carries that old-fashioned certainty that family is a closed circle. I always felt like I was standing just outside it, close enough to hear the laughter, never close enough to be truly included. The irony is, they had no problem accepting what I provided. 2 months ago, Ryan came home with that excited boy energy, like he'd been handed a golden ticket. "Mom called," he said, toeing off his shoes. "They want to do a family vacation." "A vacation?" I leaned against the counter, watching him. "Like, all of you?" "Yeah. Mom, Dad, Dylan, and Madison, the kids." He grinned. "They want a bonding trip. A week." Dylan is Ryan's older brother. He works retail management. Madison is sweet in that exhausted mom way, always apologizing for her children's noise like she can't remember they're allowed to exist. Their 2 kids are small, loud, and honestly innocent in all of this. Ryan's family doesn't have money. That's not an insult, it's a fact. Howard is retired. Janice has never worked outside the home. Dylan and Madison have always been one flat tire away from panic. So when Ryan explained their plan, it came exactly as I expected. They were thinking maybe a long weekend, Ryan said, like a budget hotel, nothing crazy. He said it like he was bracing for me to judge them. I didn't. I just did what I always do. I started calculating, in my head at first, then on my phone, then out loud. "What if we made it nicer?" I offered carefully. "If we're going to do this, and it's a full week, why not actually relax?" Ryan's eyes lit up. "You mean upgrade?" I said, I could cover the resort, a real one. Oceanfront. Separate rooms so everyone has space. The kids can have a pool. Your parents can feel taken care of. I told myself it was generosity, a gesture, an investment in peace. But if I'm honest, there was a part of me that wanted to finally earn my way into that circle. Like if I gave enough, did enough, smoothed enough, one day Janice would look at me and see family, not an accessory. So I booked it. 3 rooms, 7 nights, resort fees, everything prepaid. $8,400. I remember staring at the total before I clicked confirm, feeling that brief sting of, "This is insane," and then the softer voice that followed. "It's worth it. Ryan will be happy. His family will finally see you're serious." I chose the non-refundable rate because it was 40% cheaper. Practical, right? The kind of decision you make when you assume everyone involved is acting in good faith. When I told Ryan, he kissed me like I'd handed him a future. When Janice found out, she actually called me. "Brielle," she said, voice syrupy. "That is so generous. You didn't have to do that." But there was a pause before generous, like she'd tried out a few words first and picked the safest one. Howard thanked me too, in his stiff way. Dylan looked uncomfortable when Ryan told him, like accepting a gift made him feel small, but Madison squealed about the kids and sent me a dozen exclamation points. For a couple weeks, everything felt almost good, until the little comments started slipping again. At Sunday dinner, Janice mentioned Ryan's ex-girlfriend, Kara Nguyen, like she was bringing up the weather. "Kara always loved family trips," Janice said, refilling Ryan's glass. "She never made things complicated." Ryan shot me a look, half apology, half warning. "Please don't bite." I smiled anyway, because I've gotten good at smiling through teeth. Sounds like Kara has strong opinions, I said lightly. Janice smiled back. She just understood tradition. Tradition. That word sat on my tongue like something sharp. Still, the trip moved forward. Flights booked, suitcases out. Ryan and his family were flying out early, 6:00 a.m., and I was taking a later flight at 2:00 p.m. because I had to wrap up a presentation at work. The morning they left, Ryan kissed me at the door. "Text me when you land," I told him. "Always," he said, and for a second he looked like the man I loved. Soft, grateful hours. By 8:30 a.m., I was at my desk, staring at a spreadsheet, half-focused, already picturing ocean air, and a week where I didn't have to be the adult for everyone. My phone buzzed. "Ryan." I smiled before I even opened it. Then I read the message. "Hey, so my parents talked to me. They think it would be better if this trip was just blood relatives. Family bonding time, you know. Maybe you can do a girls' weekend with your friends instead. Don't be mad. It's just how they feel." I didn't blink. I didn't breathe. I just stared. Blood relatives only. For the vacation I paid for. For the resort under my name. For the trip I was supposed to join in 5 hours. My hands went cold, like my body understood the insult before my brain could form words. I typed one response. Understood. That was it. No argument. No begging. No, "Ryan, are you kidding me?" Because something inside me went very still. And when I'm very still, I get efficient. I called the resort first. I told the woman on the phone there was a family emergency. I needed to cancel the reservations. She was sympathetic but firm. "Ma'am, I do need to let you know this was a non-refundable rate." "I understand," I said, voice calm enough to surprise even me. "I just need the reservations canceled so no one can check in under my card." She paused. "I can do that." 10 minutes later, all 3 rooms were canceled. No refund, money gone, but also no keys, no smiling reunion at the front desk. No oceanfront room paid for by the person they'd decided wasn't family. Then I called the airline. My ticket, thankfully, was refundable, higher fare class. I got the money back minus a small fee. $340 slid back into my account like a tiny, insulting consolation prize. After that, I went back to work. And I did my presentation. And I acted like the day hadn't cracked open. Ryan's flight landed around 2:00 p.m. their time. At 2:07, my phone started vibrating like it was possessed. I was in a meeting, so I silenced it. At 2:11, it buzzed again. At 2:15 again. By the time I got home around 6:00 p.m., the screen told the story before I even unlocked it. 23 missed calls, 15 texts, 3 voicemails. The first text was Ryan, trying to sound calm. "Brielle, we're at the resort and they're saying there's no reservation." Then, "Call me now." Then, "This isn't funny." Then, "Fix this." Then a new number. Janice, from Ryan's phone. "What is going on? They won't let us check in." Then Dylan. "Dude, what the hell? My kids are tired." I set my purse down slowly, poured myself a drink, and hit play on the voicemails. Ryan's voice controlled. "Hey, there's some mix-up. Can you call the resort and sort it out?" Second voicemail. Ryan. Anger leaking through. "I know you can see these messages. Fix this now." Third voicemail. Howard. Heavy with authority. "Brielle, I don't know what's going on, but we need you to straighten this out. We're all tired, and this isn't the time for games." Games. I stared at the wall for a moment, feeling something bitter rise, then settle into clarity. I typed one message to Ryan. "I can't help with reservations for a trip I'm not invited to. Hope you figure it out. Have a great family bonding time." Then I blocked them, just for the night, not because I was scared of what they'd say, because I already knew. And I needed one quiet evening to sit inside the truth they'd handed me. I wasn't family to them, only funding. When you block people, the world goes quiet in a way that feels almost sinful. No buzzing. No guilt-laced paragraphs building like storms. No frantic calls that try to turn your boundaries into cruelty. Just silence. I ate dinner standing at the counter, something simple I barely tasted, and watched a movie I couldn't summarize afterward. My brain kept replaying that text like it was a sentence carved into stone. Blood relatives only. The way Ryan had phrased it was almost worse than the rule itself. Don't be mad, it's just how they feel. Like my feelings were something inconvenient that needed management. Like the disrespect was weather, unavoidable, not a choice. I slept anyway. Not well, not peacefully, but I slept like someone who's been holding up a ceiling and finally let it drop. In the morning, I unblocked them. My phone lit up instantly, like it had been holding its breath all night. "Ryan, I can't believe you did this." Ryan again. "Do you know how humiliated I was?" Janice, from her own number now. "You have shown your true colors." Dylan. My kids were asking why we couldn't go to the nice hotel. Real classy. And then, because humiliation is never enough for people like Janice, another message. Howard barely slept. The children were crying. You ruined our family vacation. Ruined. Like I had flown there and set fire to their luggage. Like the part where they cut me out didn't exist. I didn't answer Janice, or Howard, or Dylan. I only answered Ryan. Because Ryan was the person I loved, and also, apparently, the person who believed he could delete me from a plan I funded and still keep the benefits intact. Me. You uninvited me from a vacation I paid for while you were already at the airport. What did you think would happen? 3 dots. Then, Ryan. I expected you to be an adult about it. They're my parents. I stared at that sentence until the edges blurred. Adult. As if adulthood meant smiling while you're used. Me. And it was my 8th, though. Ryan. So if my parents want family bonding time, you're going to sabotage it? Sabotage. Another word people use when they want to frame consequences as violence. Me. If they wanted a blood relatives only trip, they should have paid for a blood relatives only trip. Ryan. You're going to punish kids because you're mad at my parents? That one landed sharp because it was designed to. It made me picture Dylan's children. Sunburned cheeks, sticky fingers, the kind of small bodies that shouldn't be collateral damage. And for one weak moment, guilt tried to sink its teeth into me. Then I remembered. Guilt is the leash they hand you when they want you to stay. Me. I'm not punishing anyone. I canceled my vacation plans when I was uninvited. What you do with your family is your business. A full minute passed. Ryan. We can't afford to stay here. We're going to have to fly home early. I read it twice, the way you reread something you know is manipulative, just to make sure you're not imagining the angle. There it was. Not apology. Not regret. Logistics. Me. Okay. That was all. Because what else was there to say? Ryan called immediately after that. I watched the phone ring. I could almost hear his frustration through the vibration. I didn't answer. Then another call from Howard's phone. Then Janice. Then a number I didn't recognize, probably Madison borrowing someone's line like desperation makes everyone bold. I didn't answer any of them. It wasn't that I wanted them to suffer. It was that I was done being drafted into fixing problems that weren't mine. I was done being the designated adult in a room full of people who behaved like children the second they didn't get what they wanted. An hour later, Dylan tried a different tactic. No insults. No accusations. Just reasonable. Dylan. Look, Brielle. I get you're upset, but this is affecting my kids. Can we work something out? I'll pay you back for the rooms. Just tell me what to do. I sat on the couch, phone in my hand, feeling that dangerous flicker of empathy. Because Dylan, unlike Janice, didn't talk like I was a villain by default. And that made it harder. But the truth was still the truth. The rooms were non-refundable. The money was already gone. And even if Dylan did pay me back, it wouldn't change the rot underneath. It would just put a clean towel over a blood stain. Me. I appreciate that, but the rooms were non-refundable. The money's gone. The cancellation happened because I wasn't invited. That's between Ryan and your parents, not you. He replied almost instantly. Dylan. They're saying it wasn't even their idea. They said they didn't tell him to do that. My stomach tightened, because that was new, and it made something cold slide into place. If Janice and Howard were claiming innocence, then who gave Ryan the script? Ryan, or someone who benefited from Ryan being the messenger. I pictured Janice at the airport, leaning close, voice sweet and sharp. You handle it. Tell her it's blood only. Don't make a scene. Then I pictured Ryan agreeing, because agreeing is what he does. The peacekeeper, the bridge, the man who thinks conflict is solved by shifting the weight onto the person most likely to carry it. And I was always the one most likely to carry it. Me. Then they should take it up with Ryan. Dylan, can you at least help us find somewhere else to stay? Anything? It's packed here. My eyes closed slowly. It was almost funny how quickly I'd been reassigned. Not family. Not invited. Still expected to rescue them. Still expected to do the work. Me. I'm not your travel agent, Dylan. Good luck. And then I blocked him too. Not out of anger. Out of self-preservation. Because every time I kept one line open, they used it to hook into me. And I was tired of being hooked. Ryan didn't stop. He sent a long message, too long, like it had been written with help, or rehearsed in a room full of people who were determined to win. He talked about how his parents felt like I was always inserting myself into family matters. He said they wanted one vacation with their kids and grandkids. He said the timing was bad, yes, but he thought I'd understand. I read it with my jaw clenched so hard it ached. Inserting myself, as if my money had magically inserted itself into their reservation, as if I had forced them to accept, as if I had been the intruder, not the benefactor. I replied with one sentence. Me. I understand perfectly. They wanted a family vacation without me. They got it. I'm confused about what the problem is. Ryan responded instantly, like he'd been waiting for that opening. Ryan, the problem is we have nowhere to stay. And there it was again. No apology, no accountability, just the same demand wearing a different outfit. I didn't even have to think. Me. That sounds like something blood relatives should figure out together. After that, the messages slowed. Not because they suddenly understood, because they ran out of angles. Or because they found a solution that didn't involve me. Later that afternoon, Madison texted from a new number. A photo came through first. 2 kids sprawled across a bed in what looked like a cramped hotel room. One was asleep in jeans, face pressed into a pillow. The other stared at the camera, eyes red-rimmed like they'd been crying. Under it, a message. Please, I know this is between you and Janice, but the kids are exhausted. If you can fix it, please fix it. That one hurt. Because it wasn't rage, it wasn't entitlement. It was desperation. And for a moment, I wanted to cave, not because I believed I was wrong, but because I didn't want to be the person who let children suffer. Then I remembered something else. If I fixed this, if I called the resort and found a way, if I sent money or booked new rooms, they would learn nothing. They would only learn the same lesson they've been teaching me for 8 years. You can treat Brielle however you want, and she will still show up with her wallet open and her mouth shut. I stared at the photo again, then at the message. I typed, deleted, typed again. Finally, I sent the only truth that mattered. Me. I'm sorry the kids are tired, but I didn't do this to them. The adults did. Then I blocked that number too. And as soon as I did, the quiet returned. But this time it didn't feel sinful. It felt like oxygen. That evening, I sat alone in the living room and tried to map out the last 24 hours like it was a puzzle. Because that's what I do when pain is too big. I turn it into pieces I can understand. And one piece kept shining like a blade. Ryan didn't say, my partner paid for this, she's coming. He didn't say, if she's not welcome, I'm not going. He didn't even say, this is wrong. He just delivered the decision. Like it was inevitable. Like I was supposed to accept being removed from my own generosity. And if he could do that, if he could let his parents cut me out while still expecting me to fund the experience, then the question wasn't whether I'd ruined their vacation. The question was whether my relationship had been ruined long before the airport, and I'd just been too calm, too practical, too desperate for peace to admit it. That night, my phone stayed quiet, and in the quiet, another thought surfaced. Slow, heavy, undeniable. They were going to come home, and when they did, they wouldn't be looking for understanding. They'd be looking for someone to blame. And Ryan? Ryan was going to walk through my door with their words in his mouth, expecting me to fix what he helped break. They came home 3 days early. Not that anyone told me directly. I pieced it together the way you piece together a storm from broken branches and flooded streets. A message from Ryan at 6:12 a.m. We're back. Nothing else. No apology, no explanation, just a statement, like weather. I didn't reply. By the time I got home from work that afternoon, Ryan was already there. Suitcase by the door, shoes kicked off like he'd never left. He looked wrecked, sunburned, eyes shadowed, the kind of tired that sinks into your bones when anger keeps you awake for days. We need to talk, he said. Of course we did. I set my bag down slowly. About what? He exhaled hard, rubbing his face. My parents want you to reimburse them. There it was. Not we need to talk about us. Not this got out of hand. Money. I laughed. I didn't mean to. It just escaped, sharp and loud in the quiet room. Reimburse them? I repeated. Ryan's jaw tightened. They're out over $1,000 because of what you did. What I did? My voice stayed calm, even as something inside me cracked. They're out that money because they uninvited me from a trip I paid for. They were humiliated, he shot back. My dad almost cried. I stared at him. 8 years of shared life, and this was the hill he'd chosen. Your mother slapped me verbally before she ever laid a hand on me, I said evenly. And you're worried about humiliation? You're being cruel, he said. My mom is devastated. Your mom decided I wasn't family, I replied. I'm not sure why her feelings are my responsibility. Ryan flinched at that. Because she's my mother, he said, quieter now. And you're my partner, or... He hesitated. You were. That stopped me. What's that supposed to mean? I asked. It means... He trailed off, then regrouped. It means you turned one bad decision into a nuclear event. One bad decision? I echoed. You told me not to come, while you were already at the airport, to a vacation I funded. He looked away. It was complicated. It wasn't, I said. It was simple. You picked them. His eyes snapped back to mine. That's not fair. Fair, I repeated softly. Fair was me spending $8,400 on your family. Fair was me being polite when your mother compared me to Kara at dinner. Fair was me smiling through 8 years of being treated like an outsider. He didn't answer. He just stood there, silent, like silence itself would absolve him. Did you tell them it was hurtful? I asked suddenly. When they said blood relatives only, did you tell them that was wrong? Ryan opened his mouth, closed it. I said it was bad timing, he finally said. I said you might take it the wrong way. I nodded slowly. So you protected them from discomfort and handed it to me. He started crying then. Not dramatic sobs, quiet, frustrated tears. I thought you'd understand, he said. I thought you'd be supportive. I was trying to keep the peace. You don't keep the peace by sacrificing your partner, I said. That's not peace. That's betrayal with better PR. He didn't stay that night. He went back to his parents' house, said he needed space. I let him go. I didn't stop him. I didn't chase him. The next morning he came back. With his father, Howard sat at my kitchen table like we were about to negotiate a ceasefire. Hands folded, face solemn. The posture of a man used to being listened to. Brielle, he said, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I poured coffee, took my time, sat across from him. Has there? I asked. We never meant to exclude you permanently, he said. We just wanted some quality time with our children, without in-laws. I tilted my head. So Madison wasn't invited either? He blinked, paused. Well, no, she was. So it was just me, I said. The only one paying. It's not personal, he insisted. It's definitionally personal, I replied. Howard frowned. You're being sensitive. Don't finish that sentence, I said calmly. I'm not interested in what you think women, or anyone, should be. He cleared his throat, tried another angle. What if we paid you back for the resort, he offered. We could set up a payment plan. I stared at him. The money's gone, I said. Non-refundable. And even if it weren't, I wouldn't take a payment plan from you. His lips thinned. Then what do you want? Nothing, I said. I don't want anything from you. He leaned forward. You're really willing to let this destroy your relationship? I'm not the one who made it a choice between my relationship and a vacation, I said. That was you. Ryan hovered near the doorway, watching like a man waiting for a verdict. That's when Janice walked in. She hadn't been invited. She never needed to be. She stood there for a moment, taking in the room, the tension, the way Ryan wouldn't meet my eyes. Then she smiled. A tight, brittle thing. You know, she said, Kara would never have done this. There it was. The comparison sharpened into a weapon. Kara understood family, Janice continued. She knew her place. Something in me went very, very still. I know my place too, I said quietly, and it's not beneath you. Her smile vanished. You're a spiteful woman, she snapped. Ryan could have married someone with class. Someone with class would have paid for their own vacation, I replied. The sound that followed wasn't loud. It was quick, a sharp crack of skin against skin. For a split second, my brain refused to process it. Then my cheek burned. Janice had slapped me. The room went silent. Ryan gasped, Mom. I stood up slowly, my chair scraping against the floor. Get out, I said. Janice scoffed. You can't talk to me like that in your... This is my house, I cut in. My name is on the mortgage. Get out now or I'm calling the police. Howard stood abruptly. Janice, enough. I pointed at the door. All of you, now. They left in a rush of indignation and muttered outrage. Janice didn't apologize. She didn't look back. Ryan hesitated in the doorway. He looked at me like he was waiting for something. For me to stop him. For me to fix it. I didn't. The door closed. And just like that, the truth settled into the room like dust. The vacation hadn't broken us. It had just exposed what had been cracked for years. Silence has a way of telling you everything you've been refusing to hear. Ryan didn't come home that night, or the next. On the third day, he texted to say he was staying with his parents for now, like it was temporary, like the word now softened the choice. It didn't. It clarified it. Because when things blew up, when his mother crossed a line you can't uncross, he didn't choose distance from them. He chose distance from me. And once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. I made the appointment with a lawyer the following week, not because I wanted revenge, not because I was ready to burn everything down, but because denial is expensive and I was done paying for it. The lawyer was kind in the way professionals are when they've seen this story too many times. She didn't gasp. She didn't judge. She laid out facts like bricks. No fault state. Shared equity. Retirement accounts partially marital. The house, despite the down payment coming from me, was in both our names. If Ryan pushed, a judge could argue that the canceled vacation was a shared expense spent out of spite, and I might owe him his portion. Half of 8.4, plus equity, plus fees. She didn't sugarcoat it. Best case, Tiam, she said, you mediate. You walk away losing around 90,000 when it's all done. Worst case, she didn't say the number. She didn't need to. I drove home in a fog, gripping the steering wheel like it could keep the world from tilting. The petty satisfaction of canceling that vacation, the 10 minutes of calm clarity, was about to cost me 6 figures. And yet, if I rewound time to that airport text knowing all of this, I would still make the same call. Because the alternative was staying in a relationship where I only counted when I was useful. Ryan finally called that night, not to apologize, not to ask how I was doing. My parents are talking about hiring a lawyer, he said, voice tense. They think you intentionally humiliated them. I laughed, short, incredulous. Your mother slapped me in my own house. She was emotional, he said quickly. You provoked her. I closed my eyes. Tell their lawyer to call mine, I said. We'll handle it properly. There was a pause. You're really going to let it go this far? He asked. I'm not letting anything go anywhere, I replied. Everyone made choices. These are the consequences. Silence stretched between us. Then softer. I miss you. The words landed and slid off. Do you? I asked. Because from where I'm standing, you chose your parents without a second thought. That's not fair. Fair was me funding that trip, I said. Fair was 8 years of trying with people who never accepted me. What happened at the airport wasn't fair. I made a mistake, he said. No, I corrected. You made a choice. There's a difference. He tried another angle, counseling, working through it, starting fresh. To what end? I asked. So the next time your parents draw a line, you let them decide where I stand again. He didn't answer. That was my answer. Later that week, Dylan called. I'm staying out of it, he said carefully, but I want you to know, I told them they were wrong. Ryan did too, just not to their faces. I believed him, and somehow that made it worse. Because it meant Ryan knew. He just didn't have the spine to act on it. The entitlement escalated after that. Janice talked about filing a police report for fraud, theft, something vague and dramatic. The lawyer apparently shut that down fast. They had no case. But they had a story. And in their story, I was the villain. The cruel woman who abandoned them at a resort. Never mind that I wasn't there. Never mind that I was uninvited. Details don't survive when entitlement needs a narrative. Mutual friends started reaching out. Some said I was justified. Some said I went too far. One said, you proved your point, but at what cost? The cost, apparently, was about $95,000. And a relationship that only worked when I stayed quiet. Ryan didn't come home again. A week later, he texted to say he'd be moving some things out. I didn't stop him. I didn't argue. I just started packing my own life into smaller, more honest boxes. Because somewhere between the legal paperwork and the quiet nights, a truth settled in that no lawyer had to explain. I wasn't losing a partner. I was shedding a role I'd been cast into without consent, the role of peacekeeper, provider, and punching bag. And no amount of money was worth staying in that part forever. Ryan moved the last of his things out on a Tuesday. Not dramatically. No shouting, no slammed doors. Just boxes and silence and the sound of tape ripping like something being peeled apart that had already lost its grip. He didn't take much. Most of the furniture had been mine before we moved in together. The couch, the dining table, the bookshelves filled with years of careful collecting. He took clothes, his guitar, a box of old photos he never looked at anyway. He paused in the living room before the last trip to his car. This didn't have to happen, he said quietly. I leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. Not defensively, just to keep myself upright. You're right, I said. It didn't. He looked hopeful then, just for a second. All you had to say was, my partner paid for this trip. She's coming, I continued. But you didn't. His shoulders sagged. I was trying to keep the peace. You can't keep the peace by throwing your partner under the bus, I said. That's not how partnership works. I know, he whispered. Now. A little late. He nodded, eyes glossy, then turned and walked out. Howard was waiting in the car. He didn't come to the door. That detail stuck with me longer than it should have. The house felt different after Ryan left. Not emptier exactly, but exposed. Like a stage after the actors have gone and you can finally see the scuffed floor beneath the set. I slept in the guest room that night. The master bedroom felt too big, too echoing, like it belonged to a version of me that kept shrinking to make space for everyone else. The legal process moved faster than I expected. Neither of us wanted to bleed money in court. Mediation made more sense. Cleaner. Quieter. The numbers landed exactly where the lawyer predicted. House sale. Split equity. Shared accounts divided. Retirement adjustments. Half the vacation cost counted. When it was all tallied, my loss hovered around $95,000. On paper, it was brutal. On an emotional level, it felt survivable. Ryan sent one last text after the mediation date was set. "I hope you're happy. You destroyed our relationship over one mistake." I didn't reply right away. I sat with it. Read it again. Then again. Finally, I typed back. "I didn't destroy our relationship. I stopped pretending I was family when I wasn't." He didn't respond. Dylan texted the next morning. "They're not filing anything. Lawyer told them they don't have a case. Just wanted you to know." I thanked him. He added, "For what it's worth, I told them they were wrong. It won't change anything. But I wanted you to hear it from someone in that house." That mattered more than I expected. Janice never apologized. Instead, she told anyone who would listen that I abandoned them at a resort, that I was petty, vindictive, heartless. Funny how the people who cut you out always rewrite the story where they're the victim. Friends stayed split down the middle. Some said I was justified. Some said I should have been the bigger person, that I should have swallowed the disrespect for the sake of love, that I should have paid for the vacation anyway, because that's what commitment looks like. Maybe they were right. Maybe I was petty. Maybe I let pride cost me more than it should have. But here's the thing no one else had to live with. Accepting that I wasn't really family would have cost me more. It would have cost me my voice, my self-respect, the quiet certainty that when someone draws a line and tells you where you stand, you don't have to stay on the wrong side of it. The house went on the market the following week. I started looking at apartments, smaller ones, lighter ones, places that felt like they belonged to one person instead of a compromise. Starting over at 38 isn't ideal, but it beats waking up next to someone who will always choose comfort over courage. People still ask if I regret it, if I wish I'd just let it go, if the money was worth it. I tell them the truth. Some days I miss the version of my life that felt stable. Some days the number still makes my stomach drop. But I sleep fine knowing I didn't accept being treated like I didn't matter. They wanted blood relatives only. They got it. It just cost them a vacation. And it cost me a marriage that wasn't built to hold me anyway. Ask me in a year if it was worth it. Right now, I'm still choosing myself, and that's a cost I'm finally willing to pay.